Have you ever looked up at the night sky and felt a sudden, strange ache in your chest? A feeling of missing someone you have never met? Or have you ever walked into a room or heard a specific voice and felt a wave of déjà vu so strong it almost knocked you over? We usually brush this off. We tell ourselves, "Oh, my brain is just playing tricks on me." We call it a glitch in the system. But the mystics and scholars of the Islamic tradition say that it is not a glitch. That feeling is a memory. It is a memory of a time before you had a body. It is a memory of a time before you had a name. It is an ancient echo from a place called Azal. Today, we are going to go on a journey. We aren't traveling across the world, we are traveling back in time. We are going back before your birth, back before the dinosaurs, back before the Big Bang, to the very beginning of reality. In English, we usually translate the word Azal as eternity. But that word is lazy. It doesn't tell the whole story. You see, in the West, we think of eternity as a straight line that goes on forever. But in Islamic wisdom, eternity is split into two giant oceans. There is Al-Abad, the ocean of the future, the afterlife, the eternity that never ends. And then there is Al-Azal, the ocean of the past, the eternity that never began. To understand where you are going when you die, you first have to understand where you were before you were born. To really understand this realm of Azal, I need you to use your imagination. I want you to mentally delete everything you know. Imagine turning off the sun like a light bulb. Imagine erasing the galaxies like chalk on a blackboard. Imagine stopping every clock in the world. What is left? For hundreds of years, the smartest people in history argued about this question. It was a massive battle between the philosophers and the theologians. The philosophers, like the famous Avicenna, looked at the world and said, "God is an eternal creator, right? A creator creates. So, if God is eternal, then his creation must be eternal too." They believed the universe has always existed, sitting right next to God like a shadow attached to a person. But the theologians, led by a man named Al-Ghazali, said, "No, that is impossible." He argued that if the universe was always there, it would be like a partner to God. It would mean God isn't unique. Al-Ghazali said that Azal is a place of absolute solitude. He based this on a famous saying of the Prophet Muhammad. A man once came to the Prophet and asked, "Where was God before everything else?" The Prophet didn't give a complicated scientific answer. He simply said, "God existed, and there was nothing else with him." This is the definition of Azal. It is the deep past, where only God existed. No space, no time, no atoms, just the divine presence. There is another narration that describes this state as the blindness, or the heavy cloud. It describes a state with no air above and no air below. It was just pure, silent existence. So how did we get from nothing to something? What was the very first thing to break the silence of Azal? This is where the story gets fascinating. The Prophet Muhammad said that the first thing God created was the pen. Now, do not imagine a plastic ballpoint pen or a quill made of a feather. In the spiritual world of Azal, the pen represents a cosmic force. It represents intellect. It represents the ability to record data. God commanded this pen to write. The pen, which was alive and conscious, trembled and asked, "My Lord, what shall I write?" And God replied, "Write the destiny of everything that will happen until the final hour." I want you to really think about what that means. It means that in the deep, dark past of Azal, Before the earth was even a cloud of dust, the story of the universe was written down. The wars we fight today, written. The moment you fell in love, written. The tears you cried last night, written. It was all recorded on something called the preserved tablet. Think of it like a computer programmer. Before a video game is played, the code is written. The pen is the programmer writing the code, and the tablet is the hard drive storing it. Right now, you and I are just walking through the simulation that was coded in Azal. We are acting out a script that was finished billions of years ago. But this leads to a difficult question. If God was alone in Azal, and the pen was writing scripts, where were you? Did you exist? This is where we turn to the great master, Ibn Arabi. He was a scholar who thought deeply about the nature of reality. He taught a concept called the fixed entities. Ibn Arabi said, yes, you existed, but you didn't have a body. You were an idea in the mind of God. Let's use an analogy. Imagine an architect who wants to build a beautiful cathedral. Before he lays a single brick, he sees the cathedral in his mind. He knows exactly where the windows go. He knows how tall the tower is. The cathedral exists in his mind, even though it hasn't been built on the street yet. Ibn Arabi says that in Azal, you were like that cathedral in the mind of God. He calls this your fixed entity. Everything about you, your personality, your choices, your potential, was known by God in Azal. This is important because it solves a huge problem people have with religion. People ask, did God force me to be who I am? Ibn Arabi would say, no. God simply looked at your fixed entity, your true essence in Azal, and gave it a body. He let you be who you always were in His knowledge. You aren't a random accident. You are an ancient idea that God decided to bring into the world. Now, we come to the most emotional part of Azal. There is one specific event that happened there, a memory that is buried deep in your DNA. The Quran tells us about a moment called the Covenant. The story goes that in the deep past, God brought forth the souls of every human being who would ever live. From the first man, Adam, all the way to the last baby born before the end of the world. Billions and billions of souls, glowing like specks of light or atoms. God gathered us all together in this spiritual world, and He spoke to us directly. There were no veils, there was no confusion. He asked us just one question. He asked, "Am I not your Lord?" And in that moment, every single one of us, the atheists, the believers, the saints and the sinners, we all replied with one voice. We said, "Yes, we testify that you are." This moment is known as the Day of Alast. The Persian philosopher Mulla Sadra had a beautiful explanation for this. He said this wasn't a conversation with mouths and tongues. It was an existential admission. Our very souls vibrated with the truth of God. We saw the truth and we admitted it. This helps explain the human condition. Do you know why you feel lonely? Do you know why humans are always searching for something more? We get the money, but we are still sad. We get the relationship, but we still feel empty. We get the fame, but we still feel small. Why? The great poet Rumi says it is because we are homesick. We are longing for that conversation we had in Azal. We are missing the sound of that voice. We are like reed flutes that have been cut from the reed bed, and the music we make is just the sound of us crying to go back. The confusion of this world is just the hangover from the wine of truth we drank in pre-eternity. So, how does all of this connect to the end of the world? You asked about eschatology. Eschatology is the study of the end times. But in Islam, the end is not really an end, it is a circle. We have a phrase we say when someone dies, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. It means, indeed we belong to God, and indeed to Him we return. Notice the direction. We belong to God, that is Azal, the beginning, and to Him we return, that is the end. The journey of the human soul starts in the high spiritual world of Azal. Then we fall down. We fall into this heavy physical world of gravity, time, and suffering. We live here for a few years, maybe 70 or 80 if we are lucky, and then, through the door of death, we arc back up. The universe is circular. When the trumpet blows and the day of judgment begins, what is actually happening is that the walls of time are breaking down. The illusion is shattering. The future eternity that we are going to is simply a return to the past eternity we came from. We are going back to the state of knowing God directly. This changes how we look at death. Death isn't walking into the dark. Death is waking up from a dream. It is remembering who you were before the world made you forget. So, the next time you feel that strange sense of déjà vu, or that unexplainable loneliness late at night, don't be afraid of it. That is your soul trying to remind you of your history. That is the echo of Azal. It is a reminder that you are not just a biological machine made of meat and bones. You are a story written by the pen of God. You are an idea that has existed in the divine mind forever. And one day, after all the noise of this life is over, you will return to the silence and the peace of where you started. You will return to Azal.